All right, so the next game we're going to talk about is R-Type for the arcade and pretty much every other system ever made, I believe. What year was R-Type released? 1987 in July, apparently. And that would be an arcade release. They never get those exactly right, so I wouldn't be 100% sure.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, this was July 1st, 1987 in Japan for the arcades, and then ported to, honest to God, every single thing. I don't think it ever got a Famicom port, now that I think about it. And it definitely
if I remember correctly, not to butt in, fellas. Huh? I was just thinking about R-Type. So I couldn't help but come right over and tell you that when I first played R-Type, it was on the PC Engine.
Yeah.
I knew a guy from Japan. He didn't speak any English, but he wanted friends. So he somehow got me to come over to his house. I think he just beckoned me with Japanese video game magazines that had Mega Man 2 in it, even though Mega Man 2 wasn't out yet. And I was just there, just so alive. I don't think I've ever been so alive as I was in that strange boy's basement playing R-Type for the first time. And because the PC Engine was so hot in Japan, it was like doing as well as Famicom for a little bit there, I don't think they wanted to let one of their killer apps, which was R-Type, the PC Engine version of which was so massive, it could only fit the first 4 levels of R-Type. They couldn't even fit the whole thing on the Who card. That they wouldn't let R-Type on the Famicom, is my understanding. It was such was the tightness of the PC Engine and the R-Type brand at the time. It's a real killer app.
Because Irene, the developer, they made a lot of PC Engine games.
Yeah. It was the PC Engine was a big time shooter / sexy sci-fi confusion. It was a very teenage console, whereas the Famicom was definitely leaning more towards the whole darn family. But well, PC Engine, like, no, we're putting an engine in this. Boobs. There's a boob game on the PC Engine. At least 2. Played them. It's been a while. And R-Type, I don't know if you remember how much the sexual innuendo is just dripping.
Oh, yeah.
In a very creepy H.R. Geiger way. Not like a sexy, comfortable way, but like a real body horror, I'm a teenager and I hate my genitals sort of way. You know that feeling. We've all been there.
Sure. It's got a very, it's the most Aliens, not Aliens game that isn't an Aliens game maybe ever.
Exactly. Such is the way. Even more than Contra, I would say. It is Aliens without aliens. The first boss is just an H.R. Geiger alien with a whippy tail and everything. And then the second level has a penis boss that goes in a vagina boss. So Geiger. And it's just everything is alive and quivering and hates you. And then level 3, it's just like, and then you shoot a big battleship because they wanted to impress you with graphics.
But it's a very, very big battleship.
It's huge. It's the whole darn level, and then you just shoot its engine at the end, I think.
Yeah, you only have to get a few shots off to kill it.
Yeah, it was a fun boss. I like R-Type a lot. I don't think it has aged quite as well as it could have if it were a little bit more, or less of a graphic showcase at the time, and more of a real innovation, because beyond the bit you can shoot out, which was pretty innovative at the time, but other than that, there wasn't really much to it that made it different gameplay.
Well, what they really messed around with was they made it incredibly memorization heavy. I think it's possibly the most memorization heavy shmup that's ever existed.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. Of course, a lot of shmups from Treasure and whatnot have come along where memorization certainly helps, but I think what you're saying is in R-Type, you just need to do it according to the script. And unlike some Treasure's better games where following the script is helpful, but he can also improvise. And in fact,
Treasure has a plan for you, and they let you mess around if you make a mistake. In R-Type, you make a mistake, that's it. You just know you're dead. Bye.
Yeah, I remember, I can't remember which level it is. It might in fact be that battleship level. You just have to hide in the same spots for the whole level. You just get from place to place. It's almost like a cover shooter in that way, at least for that level. You just stay there.
I do want to say real quick, I feel that R-Type is maybe slightly fairer than its kind of rival series Gradius. Mostly because you're not absolutely 100% screwed if you don't have a power-up on hand.
True.
It's going to be really hard, sure, but maybe not impossible.
Well, not to sidetrack too hard, but old school Konami was just constantly about, you need to save the power-ups because you're already so good at this game that you save your level 3 boomerang if it's Castlevania we're talking about, or save your spread shot if it's Contra. And then if you die and you come back with your basic weapon, you basically should just start over. Which they wanted you to do, because a lot of those games started in the arcade, so saw that arcade sensibility. But R-Type, definitely more fair than that. You could survive based on just the charge shot, at least for a little bit, even if you didn't have anything else going for you.
Well, because R-Type is it's per stage. It doesn't when you die, it kind of just like you get kicked back. You can still get the power up you need, rather than Gradius, where you die halfway through the stage. And it's like, well, you're not getting any more power ups, so I hope you're good at dodging everything.
Oh yeah, because Gradius had that weird, like, you have to fill your belly on those fire engines that you get out of random Goomba type guys you shoot, and then if you get full enough, then you can get a laser. But only if you like really stuff yourself, and then you like poop out a laser after your stomach's bulging out. What a weird power-up system that is.
I do think that the option is very, very unique, because you fire it out and it activates a different ability. Like, it's not when you're attached to it, you fire one shot type and you shoot it out, and then it's a second different alternate top shot type.
Right.
You got all this extra choice, but most of the time the choice is you're supposed to do what they wanted you to do at that segment, otherwise they'll probably just die.
Yeah, if you've got exactly what the script is supposedly handing you, you'll have exactly the tools you need to get through the level at that point. And if not, take the Gradius route, and you may as well just slap the reset button at some point.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have
I assume really, really skilled people better than me might be able to do like a no-bit R-type run and just be good.
That would be weird.
You do have to be good. I honestly was not good. I think I got to the 4th or 5th stage, and I was like, okay, I'm not getting much further than this in this lifetime.
Then you technically beat the PC Engine version, because it only had 4 levels. That's all they could fit. So you're, in fact, an R-type winner. I think the reason I was... As you should. You're a great person. R-type Final, which we're not going to talk about too much today, I think that's my problem looking back on R-type. Because R-type Final was so good that it has caused R-Type 1 retroactively to age sort of poorly. As when I play Super Mario Bros. 1 these days, I think, that's all they could came up with? Because I've been playing so many ding-dang Mario games since then. I don't know if you played R-Type Final. Wowza, that is hard to top. And when it comes to sexual innuendo, too, they didn't let up on that either. There's the last stage, it's just brown. You're like, what? How come R-Type's just brown now? And in the background, you see a silhouette of a man and a woman, and they just start going at it. That's it. R-Type Final is just, it was all about boning all along.
That's the final R-Type. I mean, is it the final R-Type, or do they keep making them? It is.
Well, then they made, this is off the top of my head, so forgive me if I'm wrong. Yeah. I think they made like a military strategy game, which wasn't a real R-Type game. It was like
that does not sound like a real.
Yeah, they used the R-Type assets. They had them lying around, and they have a big R-Type backstory about the Baido Empire and all that stuff. So they still had some stuff they thought they could use to make money. But in terms of a straight 2D shoot 'em up, which R-Type 1, R-Type 2, R-Type 3, R-Type Delta, R-Type Final, I think that was the 5 of them. They never went back to that after R-Type Final. They made good on the props.
I don't think we're ever going to get another one, sadly, even if it won the final, because Irem is super dead right about now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that a shame?
Yeah, this is a pretty solid game. This is 1987, which I think is kind of... I keep forgetting that it's not later than that when I play it. Like, I'm just like, this could easily be 89, 90. I wouldn't have really known.
Yeah, 87. That is almost Mario's age, right? Or at least Super Mario.
The thing that sticks out, I mean, like, I'm pretty crappy at R-Type, I'm pretty crappy at shooters in general, but of Sega Master System games that supported FM Synth on the Mark III, R-Type might be my favorite. It has fantastic music. And like, the PSD, the standard audio is great, but if you ever get a chance, look at the FM Synth on it. It's fat. It's just a really, really, really good, like, pumped-up shooter soundtrack for something from, like, the late 80s. Game I'm just not so hot at, so I can't say like a lot about it, but it certainly is crude and sexual in a way that you would not expect from a shooter of its era.
That whole era, the amount of growing pains that were going on in terms of emulating film directly and trying so hard to capture the same kind of excitement people had about movies, bring it to video games while cluing in all the people that only cared about high scores and didn't care about human beings at all and didn't care about movies at all. Such a special time that I often miss. Reminiscing with you guys about R-Type has been a lot of fun. And you've taught me to both respect it and disrespect it more at the same time.
We like to do that. I think that's one of our favorite things, is be like, wow, this game's great, why do we hate it?
Which is like
and vice versa with stuff like Illbleed.
Yeah.
Illbleed? Still thinking about that.
He's concerned it'll be a placement for people who have jumped in. We put it at number 34 in the top games of all time so far. So that's exciting. Where would we like to put R-Type, though? Is it going above or below Illbleed?
R-Type 1, huh? Well, it did do a lot to influence the genre, I think. And it certainly has stuck in my head. It evokes a feeling right away. But so many of your games on your list do. So, like Ninja Baseball Batman does as well. So, how can it top that? That wouldn't be fair.
I don't know if it would top Ninja Baseball Batman, personally. I think that's the upper limit.
I don't think it's better than Space Harrier either, obviously, so...
Whoa. To me, they're about tied, honestly. That's how much I like R-Type. I really like Space Harrier, too.
I do think that is the range we're looking at. Like, somewhere in between, like, a Ninja Baseball Batman and something like Ape Escape.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely
Wasn't Ninja Baseball Man? Ninja Baseball Batman was also RM, wasn't it? Or am I thinking of another Batman? I could be mixing Batmans, my baseballs. Oh, I might be thinking of Ninja Clowns, too. Might be mixing up my ninjas.
Those are two games you never want to get mixed up, trust me.
Ninja Clowns and Ninja Baseball Batman?
Right, yes, Ninja Baseball Batman is IREM, but it was associated with IREM America also, so that's why you get spun out on... It was their only, yeah. Anyway.
So I could have been more wrong, which is nice for me, to not be the wrongest. Well, all right, I'm going to be a jerk, and just looking at your list of fine games, I'm going to say that R-Type should be under Final Fight and under Advance Wars 2. I think it should be above Lode Runner Online, the Mad Monk's Revenge, but that's number 6, so that's not going to work out. So my vote is for just, play it safe and put it at the bottom.
Down there at the sort of bottom of the top there, let's call it.
Yeah, the bottom of the top.
If you scroll down that list, John, you actually see there's about...
Oh, I thought that was the end of the list.
Oh, no, we're down.
No, the list is much longer, and it gets a lot
What a long list that is.
Yeah, no, we've been at this for a minute.
I apologize for my grave error.
But I don't think R-Type's going to go kind of below Final Fight, so
I think that's...
the rest of that list is... It won't end up below Sewer Shock as a general rule.
Yeah.
Jeez, there's some great games on this list.
There are. Yeah, the
You put Blazing Lasers pretty... I would say R-Type and Blazing Lasers should have because they're almost the same game in my heart. I love them both a lot. And that's
well,
62.
the thing about R-Type is it was sooner. There was a lot more, they sort of brought a lot more to the table earlier, I think.
True. Yeah, no, they did. Blazing Lasers was another game I played in that young boy's basement. Based on Gunhead, which was a live-action adaptation of a manga, if I remember correctly. But I'm pretty sure Blazing Lasers came after R-Type, so it doesn't get as much street cred.
That's right.
Louise, what do you have on this list?
Well, blame our viewers. They're the ones that nominate these things.
What is Rainbow Islands doing? So yeah,
what is Rainbow Islands doing? It's a really good question.
That's it. It was a Bubble Bobble sequel with no bubbles. You just jump.
And that's why it's down at the bottom of the list.
It's not. It's higher up than. Well, you're right. It is pretty low. But it's higher up than No One Can Stop Mr. Domino. That's madness.
Okay,
Okay.
Madness.
Let's not talk about Mr. Dumb. Let's talk about R-Type.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm just getting some bad flashbacks here.
We had to. That's where it went as a result of that. Okay.
Hard to hash out when you hashed out No One Can Stop Mr. Domino. Very important game.
You're free to... Anyone's free to listen to our Mr. Domino episode, because we talked extensively about Mr. Domino.
Absolutely, you should listen to that.
Okay, so let's say I wanted to slot this right between Mega Man 3 and Super Mario Land.
I think that sounds fair.
I got no problem with that.
Wow, that's wild.
It is wild.
It is wild. I was listening to your No One Can Stop Mr. Domino episode just now instead of listening to you. That is a wild episode. That's very good stuff. And I agree with everything you said about R-Type as well. Put it wherever you think is good. I trust you.
Right between Mega Man 3 and Super Mario Land, then.
I like it more than Super Mario Land, for sure.
I sure do as well, but I don't want to get into that. Ugh, okay. All right. Then let the record show R-Type is officially, for now, because of science, the 32nd best game ever made.
Now, I'll be honest, part of the reason it's there is Mr. Holmes has really sold me on putting R-Type Final higher, so that's going to be an important caveat here.
And R-Type Final is so good. Branching paths, I think there's 100 different ships. I think one of them is called the Love Muscle, and it's just like a heart-shaped penis, or a penis-shaped heart.
Put a bow on this show, it is done. That is good stuff.